Hey guys, this is Turok, and today we're going to be doing a review of chapter 1126 of One Piece, the un the un the raw version. I always forget to look over. I was meaning to do a video last week, actually, not last week, the week before, about the 124, 100,124. But I was just because I was going over that stuff with trying to figure out what Lilith was talking about, but the last chapter actually had actually pretty much had explained that the death of the satellites of Vegapunk didn't really mean anything because they were just the bodies, and their memories are there in the punk records. Actually, I had a thing about that too. I think I kind of brought this up before that, but that I have a feeling that a little bit of memory was probably not there. There's probably because it says they stated somewhere that they upload their memories like once a day. So I imagine the evening would be the obvious one where like they're done working. But so while they're there looking for the satellite and they were planning to the Stella and planning to escape, the stuff that was happening at that time probably wasn't all uploaded when each of the ones we saw get destroyed. And so that would be so everyone who only Edison and Lilith didn't have their bodies weren't killed there, right? See, Pythagoras got crushed by S-Snake. Shaka was shot by York. Oh, no, York as well. So four of them. Yeah, and Pythagoras was crushed by S-Snake. Uh, um, Shaka shot by York. Atlas blew herself up. And who was the other one I missed? Shoot. Edison, Atlas, York. There's just three of them then. Oh, that's just the three died, right? Right. It's because Edison got away, Lilith got away, right, and York. Okay, there's just six. I thought there was no. That's it then, right? There's those three. I thought there was seven. No, seven must be, and then it's Vegapunk died. So Vegapunk, the original, is dead. He is gone, but the others were still there. So where was that part with that? Let me see here. I was just checking quickly what Lilith said. Oh yeah, here. Uh, Only death by your concept, right? Because they're like, yeah. So these guys are. So this still can go into the areas of science where, like, um, we are. We have like other science fiction stories have gone into whether because these are aspects of Vegapunk. Do they have a soul? Somehow he was able to impart. He found a way. I guess this is something else with sci-fi stuff. He's found a way to copy his mind and put it onto a computer, I guess, and then create aspects of himself into individuals who could operate like individuals. That was a great thing. That's the thing about them that we still nowhere near in real life is that even if we could copy like aspects of ourselves, creating a robot that thinks and acts with emotions and stuff is not possible yet, and that's what Vegapunk clearly did. So it was very interesting to think about if we would ever be able to do something similar to that, be able to transmit how our mind works onto a computer. So far, I think the closest thing that can happen is people programming AI type stuff. And I'm not talking about AI as it is now. But maybe it will be. I haven't studied into that, but I think of stuff like I think of like that game Alien Isolation, where they had a certain AI thing built into the response of the xenomorphin and how it hunts your character as you're going around trying to avoid it. Because in that game, you can't actually kill it. The whole purpose is to progress the story in the game, but it's constantly hunting you in certain points. Actually, I always wanted to go through that game a little bit at one point, but also I'm kind of terrified of that game. But because that movie gave me nightmares as a kid. But weren't there areas where there were you had to sneak by androids that belonged to whatever? It was a different corporation than Wayland that owned that place where most of the game takes place. And there were androids walking about, and it looked like the xenomorph would pursue you there. I was always thinking, okay, so the xenomorph isn't interested, I guess, and there must have been no humans there because I'm thinking, what if there were people there and the xenomorph gets hungry? Would it try to sneak around the androids and it wants to kill some human there to have for food? Anyways, I'm going way off tangent here. So the last chapter was about focused on a number of events, and today we're going to get even more. We're definitely doing the post-arc stuff, and I'm really happy for that. I want to see what Elbath's about, but I'm always more interested in these post-arcs. My favorite, like Ennie's Lobby was a great post-arc, and Alabasta too. We focused last arc though on first finding out about the main thing was Saturn. Saturn failed, and Emu did not take that night lightly, especially because of the Iron Giant. I think that's the other thing. If the Iron Giant wasn't part of this factor and Luffy still escaped, I think maybe that Saturn would not have been killed. The fact that this thing Emmet was not destroyed is, I think, what clearly pissed off Emu, because it sounded like from that flashback that was here. Where is that? Yeah, because he said like, "I'll take." Where is that? Oh yeah, right there. It sounds like he did not tell Emu or the other Gorosei, Saturn that is, about not destroying the Iron Giant, Emmet, or Emmeth? I thought it was Emmet. I'm still going to call it Emmet for now. It might be wrong. I'm just making sure I'm recording. It sounds pretty clear that he did not destroy this, and when he didn't destroy it, he didn't tell anyone else about it because he wanted the scientists to examine it. And as I think it was Tekking 101 pointed out in his video that this showed us. Well, first of all, this clearly showed us too that Saturn has been around a long time, and that him and the other Gorosei, when given their job, are imparted with some form of immortality from Emu. So he's been around for 200 years, but the fact that he didn't to have it destroyed suggests that he didn't know that this thing, had no knowledge of it being from the Void Century, and that if he did, he would have destroyed it, had it destroyed, because he would have realized that Joy Boy, it would be probably connected with Joy Boy or his faction. And this is probably what pissed off Emu too. He saw that he realized when the last ditch hockey weapon that was stored in Emmet happened, Emu felt it across on the other side of the world. We're really going into Dragon Ball Z territory where with people who are good with hockey, they can sense it from other people. We also just saw that in the last episode of One Piece, where they showed it wasn't this last one, was it? Yeah, it was the beginning of the last one. Oh, where we saw the captain, the Crow captain from the Revolutionary Army, when he's flying around helping some slaves escape, he could sense the presence of Green Bull and Fujitora coming through their hockey. So we're really getting in that, like I said, especially like around the Namek Saga. It started really with Insane Saga, but I remember in the Namek Saga, Krillin and Gohan are going around Namek trying to locate the Dragon Balls, as well as Vegeta, and they're doing their best to hide their energy level because they know, especially in that case, the enemy has scouters that can detect things across the planet. We were on a planet of some size. We can't tell for sure if it's the same size as the Earth, but large enough where there's you can look at the sunset. You can see the curvature of the planet, and they could sense energies from far away, especially if you're really practiced with it. It seems like Vegeta and Goku especially were really good at sensing where someone like Frieza is and the others. Because obviously in that case too, that's a question to ask here. Can you hide your hockey energy in One Piece? I'm suspecting you can. It doesn't seem like something that's been I don't think it's been addressed yet, but I would really like to know if you can hide your hockey if you're trying to avoid your presence. One last tangent with that. That seemed to be something in Star Wars that you can't really do. There was a point in Episode 6 where Luke and Han and Leia are trying to sneak to what's the moon called where the Ewoks live? And then Darth Vader could sense Luke was there, but he didn't stop the ship. He let them go down, but he could have. Luke could compromise the whole plan they had because he can't hide. Doesn't seem they can hide himself from the Force, from being in tune to like feeling the Force all along, something so they can feel each other's presence at close range there. Because in that case, there's a whole galaxy of things, and that's how lots of Jedi had were hiding far away planets so they wouldn't be sensed. So, anyways, holy shit, where was I going? So Saturn was killed, and we see that Saint Garland is now the new science god. I'm wondering if he'll get a new name. I think I saw Tegging was going into this extensively with his chat, and I was listening to that. It was a stream he did the other day, and I think what will happen is I don't know if his name will change, so to speak. I just think they'll add a little thing at the end somewhere, kind of like So I think of this as similar to what Rome, in ancient Rome, how they had a kind of nickname. So when people talk about Julius Caesar, that's not really his proper name. Julius is really his last name. I think it was called like Julii. His first name was Gaius, Julii, and Caesar is like some kind of nickname for his family has, or some kind of. There's the same thing with that guy named Cornelius Felix Sulla, who was famous for being a dictator he killed a lot of his enemies. Sulla was also not his actual last name. It was some kind of nickname thing associated with his family, something like that. So I think in this case, though, so the different planet things that we're talking about with that will be more of a title, a special designation, almost like if you're associated with his job even. So he's going to be the war god, defense god, no, science and defense. He's going to be given this planet title. They'll try to just add it to the end or beginning of his name. So they're all called saints. So I actually probably go to the end, right? So I would say Saint Figurlin Garling and just say lunar or something like that. People are trying to figure out if it'd be a star or a moon, because he's got both and he's taken on both looks because of the clever way Oda has done his hairstyle. So let's see here. Sorry about that tangent. So we also were seeing a bit of the anger going on with the celestial dragons not getting their food. And we're going to elaborate a little more on that. And the final parts were we saw the stuff about Edison still being alive. That was cute. And then we'll go into that later. We don't know what's going to happen with them. They're probably still going to be able to help out now that we see that the satellites are still alive. And then the last part was just the Revolutionary Army compiling the information they learned from Vegapunk. I'm sorry. All right. Anyways, I'm going to go into the chapter now. Let's get into this. So this chapter is called Taking Responsibility. And also it continues, I'll briefly go into, they continue this thing with what's her name? Yamato. She's going around the region on a pilgrimage. And this is going back into something that's going on in the last two covers, where she rescued someone from being kidnapped, another woman on the road. We saw a silhouette of someone, and then when she was meeting up with those carpenters that Frankie was working with, and they found out that their foreman is missing, that we saw Frankie chat with. He's got like the nails in his nose. So then this one goes on to where she's at a restaurant or a soba shop, and some waitress worker there is telling her like, yeah, they've heard about missing girls. I think it's implying too that maybe some of her co-workers have been kidnapped as well. So this is going to go on to a thing where it looks like Yamato is going to be investigating what criminal group or per individual perhaps only is kidnapping people, including mostly girls so far, but also that foreman of the carpenters may be part of this activity, may have been one of the victims. Anyways, God, that's the longest tangent I've ever done. Sorry about that. That's where I put the title time cards in. So we start here with what's her name again? We start with the two members of Dorian Bragi's their lieutenants, and they start telling the story of like, okay, wait, we after we left parted ways at Water 7, we went to go find our captains. So they were probably the ones that oh, I see. Oh, I just missed that bit. Okay. Okay, this explains it. All right, I read this fast. So what it explains here is that their duel is not over. When the other two got there, the lieutenants, what is it? Orgy and Broughton. What are their names again? Okay, hold on. Okay, it was Oimo and Kashi. I always forget their names. They're the two there that are talking in the beginning about going to find where are we putting the other part? Right? Going to find no, come on, the captains. Get up here. This is a pain sometimes. Okay. So let's see what happened. I get confused with these panels, but the gist of this is that by this time the to they point out that the Omi and Kashi are pointing out that they found Dorian and Bragi were still fighting each other, but this time they were just punching each other because their weapons had finally broke after all this time. So they convinced their captains basically say, okay, let's go back to Elbath and we'll get you new weapons to continue your duel. And that's for Nami. They don't say it specifically like that, but then Nami's like, wait a minute, that means your duel's still going on? And they're just like, of course. They smile about it though. So that's never going to end, I guess. So this kind of like annoys Nami, and frankly I am too. I understand they have this honor to go over with, but it's just like, does it matter? Does it really matter that much? It does to these people. It doesn't. It's just kind of dumb to me. Nami, it's why I think Nami's here saying that. Like she's like, I'm done here. She's like, I can't deal with men like you. And Usopp's like, oh, come on, Nami. Didn't you learn anything about how this thing works with men and their honor? I'm with Nami in this one, like I said. And and Luffy's in the background, like, yeah, you tell her, Usopp. And so while this is happening too, I forgot there's a big feast going on here. They're all around. There's a table here. The giants are all around it, and some of the Straw Hats are sitting there by the food, drinking and eating while this is happening. And we have something here that's interesting. I think this comes is important later in an implication. Sanji is chatting with another giant, and he's like commenting on how, oh, this is some really nice booze, and it's very strong. And the one giant says, oh, that's one called Absinthe, the Green Fairy. And he says, but be careful drinking too much of it. It's a chance that it might make you hallucinate. Actually, that name sounds familiar. 1 second. What does that mean? I gotta look that up. Can I get here to Google? Come on. Take me to Google. There we go. I'm pronouncing it wrong. Oh, it is a type. I'll go right. Anise flavored spirit derived from several plants. Ooh. Highly alcoholic spirit. Oh, wow. Okay. That is one. I don't remember I heard that before. 100 proof. No, 75. Okay. That's not really a beer they're drinking. They're drinking more of a spirit. Okay. Woo. So we continue seeing some partying here. We see Luffy jump around. We see Luffy doing his little dance. He's got kind of the wait, where's that? Is that here we go. I'll get this one. Got my camera. I got two screens with this on so I can see it better. That one's bigger, but then the camera's in the way of some panel, so I have this other one here with my vertical. So we see Luffy. He's jumping around with the dance. He's got like the Niga thing, and he's jumping around. We see Sanji and Luffy and everyone else kind of partying. We just see Zoro there. He's just chugging down. Robin's even there too, and she's just enjoying some food. And yeah, and Jinbei, yeah, we see everyone. So they're all just dancing. We see Frankie Chopper is dancing with some other the Vikings, I mean the Giants. And so we switch to a nice moment with Bonnie and Kuma, and we still have no idea what's going on with Kuma, but we see him smiling, so somehow he's still there. But he isn't. You can tell he's not really. He's all kind of bruised up still. From when the Marines were trying to bring him down from the Red Wall. So Bonnie's still in her child form. So I'm still waiting for that shoe to drop. Sanji realizes she's not a woman. And he's still going to help. He still would defend her, but it's just like, oh, I hear a lady calling. And yes, but don't fawn over her yet. She's, you know. And she goes, oh, we finally got to reach it together, the horizon. So I think what it's, yeah, if I recall it, this is what she's hinting at. The horizon is probably not the right word. I think she's talking about being under the sky. Up until Vegapunk cured her with the disease she got through her mother, which Saturn caused her Ginny to have. Bonnie couldn't go outside under the sun, or would make the progression of it that would kill her worse exponentially. And so once she was cured, she was still being held as a hostage, although she didn't know it. Remember, by the Cypher Pole 8 agent, that woman that looked like Kefla's sister. Then when she figured out she could escape, when she figured out something was going on, when the Queen Dowager was hinting at something's going on here, you should escape. She, for the last, what's it been now, 4 years? 3 years, 4 years? She's been out there looking for Kuma, so she's been out under the sky, but she always wanted to go out there with her father, and that's what's going on here. She's happy to be with him finally, and they can sit together looking at the sunrise or just the sky in general and stuff like that. So we get a nice happy moment there. But so now this is the portion now where we're going to switch over to some other events happening, and we get one. Wait, how many things we got here again? We got that. We got that. Yeah. Okay. So the first event here is we continue to something that we saw part of before. This has to do with Bartolomeo. After he parted ways with Luffy and the others at Dressrosa, he went to an island here that was under the purview of Shanks and destroyed his flag. This is quite a while back. I think they showed this. Was this during Zou, maybe? Because that came right after Dressrosa. I don't think we ever showed up this again until now. So he's following back to this now, going back to this. And we find out what happened. So he's still there, but Shanks and the others show up and they captured him right away, because this is quite an affront to an emperor. So Shanks, also Luffy probably never, because Luffy never brings up important stuff like this when he should. He probably should have said to Bartolomeo, please don't do anything that would piss Shanks off. He's my friend. I look up to him. So Shanks here is trying to has to put up an example here of this in this case, and so he starts saying that we see Shanks with Beckman and Lucky Rouge and a couple of the others all there, while a crowd of the citizens that under his protection, they're in like a town square looking area, and Shanks is going on like saying, I can't just let this slide, because then my enemies would lose faith and go after, saying that wrong. My enemies would realize I look weak and go after other places I am protecting. So he's saying, so he's basically saying to him, like, what am I going to do to, punish you? And Bartolomeo is this. It looks like they already beat the snot of him a bit. It looks like he must have tried to fight actually with his barrier fruit, and maybe the others fought back. I don't see any of them here, but hold on a second. I gotta do something. Just pulling up their crew names again. So yeah, Shanks is just pointing out, I can't let you guys just get away with this, and I guess he's worried that the people talk about it. I'm kind of surprised. I understand the methodology behind this. I've seen enough of this stuff in like mafia movies and that you have to punish someone, otherwise it makes you look weak. Shanks is tough, and Shanks doesn't like to hurt anyone, but he's fallen. There's certain things like this that have to be enforced somehow so that his reputation as an emperor doesn't slide. No, anyways, we continue with Bartolomeo speaking up and saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. It was a foolish mistake. And wait a minute, please forgive me. I'm trying to change this TV thing. This is terrible." And Shanks is just there. He's very cold. He's got this very cold look, like he probably wants to let Bartolomeo go, but he probably understands who he's with now. But he just he knows he has to still do something here to set an example. So we switch the scene. What's his name? Is Hongo. The member named Hongo from Shanks' crew. He steps up, and this must have been something I've done before. And he says, "I have this," and he brings out a vial, and since it hands it toward the Bartolomeo and says, "This is a deadly poison. I want you to give it to your captain, Straw Hat Luffy, and you have to do it within a month. We will forgive you if you give it to him and make him take responsibility." And he points out like this is a terrible poison that will cause blood to erupt from the victim until they finally die. That type of poison sounds familiar, actually. Something I've seen in movies. So you can see the shock on Bartolomeo's face as well as some of his other crewmates that are there. And Bart just grabs it from Hongo and he drinks it down himself. And he really is like showing his devotion here. So he drinks it down himself, and then his other subordinates like, "No, don't do it, you'll die." And he's just like, "I don't care. That's fine by me. I can never ask." He goes on pointing out like Luffy never asked. Oh, he's kind of going on that Luffy, because they forced Luffy to kind of take over. That it's not. Luffy's not really responsible for this. And he points out, I'm gonna take responsibility for this. Plus, Luffy's time is, I'm gonna take responsibility for this because of my mistake. And he says, I would gladly die just for trying to show up an emperor. And he continues this, and you see Shanks and Beckman looking at him. And you can probably tell that they're like, they're not showing it, but you get the sense that they're kind of impressed by this. And he continues going on. Bart continues going on like, "Oh, I wish I could have. My only regret is I wish I could have seen Luffy become the Pirate King." And he said, "I threw it away, and now it's up to you guys to take over," to his subordinates. And then, so suddenly we see this scene where he just like, he's like, "No, it's finally time for me to go." And I think that there's a weird fading out, and I think the Shanks and others just walk away, but we don't quite see it because we don't see them again within range of each other. But then he's like he sounded like, "Wait a minute, I'm not feeling any pain, not feeling anything," and we find out that it was just a test that Shanks had. He was testing Bart and making setting an example there still there. I don't know how that would work though with the people, like if they think he still lets him go. But they kind of follow up with that in a minute with something. Maybe there's still the people still don't think they're weak. But we jump now to Bartolomeo and his crew leaving on their ship, and they're like rushing away now because they're worried that they'll still get punished. And And yeah, he's like saying that I can't believe they let us be. But let's get out of here just in case. And he says to the others, I guess it was just fake. It wouldn't have hurt Luffy at all. Uh, and he's like, oh, I always hear the Emperor to be so ruthless, but he's so soft. So then we jump to we see Blackbeard and Shanks together, and let's see, and so and Blackbeard is saying sees Shanks is smiling, and he's like, hey, what are you smirking about or smiling about? And Shanks is like, it's so nice to see that kid, that there are people who are so dedicated to Luffy. It's hard. So he's like really proud in seeing like how Luffy's has been able to get a dedicated following through his good nature and his actions. But this part here then kind of messes me up a little bit because Yasop comes up behind Shanks and says, "Sorry, boss, can you step out of the way? We still got to teach him a lesson." And the last thing, then we switch to the narrator, and you see that Yasop takes his rifle, and I don't know how he must have some different ammo because he blows up Bartolomeo and his ship, and we get the little narrator over. On that day, by Gartland Island, the Bardo Club ship was sunk. It is unknown if there are any survivors. We just see the ship. First, we see an explosion in one panel, and then the next one is just the ship pieces firing around, and Luffy's mast is burned up and falling down, and all the other stuff is on fire. So what the hell, Yasop? Did you have to destroy the whole ship? I know. I said he was. I kind of see where he's going because he wants the citizens of that island to like say, yeah, someone came here, but Shanks and his crew, they still they took him out for messing with us. It's a way to make sure that the other Yonko don't think he's soft. So I don't know. I didn't like this part. This is my least favorite thing. Yasop doing this too. It's like, okay, you really have to destroy the whole ship? You should just didn't have to sink it, I think. But anyways, now we get to this is where the story gets a lot more interesting. We cut back to Beehive Island, and Blackbeard is finally back. And we see the island at first, and we see it's funny. We see the skull part, and Oda drew bandages all over it. No, there's a one on the forehead, a cross one on the forehead. He's got one on this eye, it'd be his right eye. And Blackbeard is very pissed, and he's scolding basically angrily Pizarro. And he's like, "How could you let this happen? I wasn't even gone that long." So he must have left Pizarro technically in charge. I'm surprised he's not yelling at Shiro or Kiji. So he's really upset. He's pointing out, like, we got you. Don't you understand how important this is now? Losing Kobe, the poneglyphs ain't a secret anymore now because of what Vegapunk just said. And the emperors are gonna go. Other emperors are gonna be even more motivated to go after them, and the Navy aren't gonna stand around anymore. And then Kobe, Kobe says was our ace in the hole. And he's grabbing. How's he doing it? He must be having hockey. He's holding. Pizarro's still inside. He's got a giant face of Pizarro in front of him, so he's like still connected into the island part, and he's and Blackbeard's grabbing him by the by one of his mustache. It's just weird looking, but and he just pleading like, "Oh, please stop! Please, I understand. I'm sorry." So we cut around to we cut outside while this is happening. We see what's his name again? The giant San Juan. He's out there. He's he's picking up buildings that the girl with the whip Kujaku. When she was whipping all the buildings and made them move, he's just picking them up like building blocks, and he's trying to put them back where they belong. He's like, he's holding a shop like, I wonder where this one goes. And the other people are down there. Someone's telling him, "Oh, to the left, a little more over that way." But we get this moment where that comes up right after this, where a lot of other pirates are like, who heard the message, like, Commodore, don't worry about it. We're ready to stand with you. We know you're the one who should get the One Piece. We're ready to stand with you no matter what. So we jump later to a thing where things have calmed down, and Blackbeard is sitting in their main office area, or not office, like that room we saw with them with Kobe, and he's got a lot of the captains sitting there. His captains. We got Jesus and Pizarro. We got what's the drunk's name? And Shiro, and San Juan's off to the side. What's that drunk's name again? Yeah, Vasco Shot is there too. That's the one. So that's right, because Davon, Lafitte. We're gonna see Lafitte finally. We find out what's going on with him, and he's okay. Oh, that's the other thing too I missed. No, he gets mad too. He continues when that last part was San Juan. We find out that Moria did escape with Perona. So somehow she got a ship or something. She must have had a ship there. I wonder if she had borrowed a ship from Buggy's. Buggy must have because he does delivery. He must have a fleet of ships to some extent. She probably used one of those to sneak over there, and then she would have virtually no problem getting in there if she snuck around. As long as she didn't have to fight one of the captains. Her power. We saw it at least in the anime. They did a really cool colors thing with her using her powers to disable guards at different stations to the prisons. So we never saw anything more after that chapter, which was 1083. God, so it's been 35 chapters or so. But we find out here that Moria is alive and escaped with Perona. So I don't know where Oda has plans for that, but geez, that's going to be interesting now. So anyways, back to the point where we jumped. I had to go back from. Blackbeard's in there with the other captains, and well, at least the morale here is good. So then he asks for Aokiji, okay, Kuzan, Ayuhaji, and he's like, what happened? What else happened? And so you got Kobe got away, but what else happened? And Aokiji goes on okay, well, we were able to catch Garp though, and Blackbeard's well, and he starts laughing. Well, that's great. That's what I call a consolation prize. And then someone else is commenting, you always find a good way to, I think it's Pizarro, to trade up. But I would say that this is something though, I technically think having Garp is worth way more than Kobe. This plan, while we're all sure that it's not the be all end all to be a country, so it seems like there is something going on here where I'm guessing he does want to get into Marijois, but I still think it was weak to only want to have Kobe. I think Kobe, even though he's called a young hero or something like that, after the stuff with the Rocky Port that happened between them, along with Law, that the clout, the need, basically that the government wouldn't care. The Gorosei would not do a deal to save Kobe, but they might consider it with Garp. All right. So anyway, it continues. Kozan says, I was trying to, and to be honest, I was trying to take Garp out permanently, but he just was too tough, and he survived. And Blackbeard's don't be hard on yourself. There's not that many people out there that really have a chance against him. And he's well, it was a team effort in this case. And so Jesus is oh, great, the winds of fortune are really starting to favor us after all. And Blackbeard's then sitting there, and we see that he has pudding right there, and he pulls her over to him. It's it reminds me of Princess Leia with Jabba the Hutt. And he's we also have this. We also were able to successfully get this three-eyed girl. So now we have everything we need except that poneglyph. He doesn't say that, but that's what I'm thinking. That's the last thing he really needs now, other than hoping that Perona will awaken her third eye to read the poneglyphs, which I'm guessing is probably going to be something is that going to be something where it's a combination of because like only Robin can read the poneglyphs, and like Odin and can Momonosuke, did he learn how to? But so I'm wondering if this is something where she'll have an ability that's akin to the voice of all things that Momonosuke, Odin, Luffy, Roger has, and is, but also lets them read languages. I don't get how that. It's gonna be interesting, like middle ground where it's not taught to you, and then it's something that you can learn, a special ability. Because even with the voice of all things, Roger couldn't read the poneglyphs. He was fortunate that Odin left, and he met Odin to be able to have that, to get the poneglyphs deciphered and find Lafto. And so Teach goes on saying, hey, let's get Lafitte in the line. I want to see what he's up to. So we find out that Lafitte is spying for them, and he's at I think this is the location right at the red wall where Kuma just was, the one that takes the town there and everything, that acts as a access to the Marijois. And so it looks like there's a siege going on here. Right, so Blackbeard, it goes to Lafitte, come in. What's going on over there? What are the revolutionaries still at it? And he's like, yes. And it seems their siege is proven effective. The bongalas, those things that take the elevator type things that you use to get up there, are not operating well, and they're breaking down. And they're not able to get food up there. And he starts pointing out about what we saw was going to happen. When he says that all the shipments are being halted and not allowed to come in, which is what we saw Sabo and Dragon and Ivankov talk about, how they're going to make sure that they don't allow any. So they're doing a war of attrition, I think is the right term, where you're going to wait for Marijois to run out of the supplies to force them. I don't know how this is going to work, though, with the Gods tonight. I know they're going to have to. Dragon made it apparent that he expects to have to fight them. So I don't know if they're going to try to wait for the Gods Night to come out somehow, or they're going to go meet them somewhere. It's just, I don't know how this is going to go through, but we'll see that later, I guess. He said, so for the feast going on, even though when the Navy does have managed to secure some food that they want to take to Marijois, the Bondolas they can't stop them from crashing. And then he showed a picture of one, like it looks like an explosion. So I don't know if that means they have their own ships around there now and they're keeping marine ships out, or if they're sneaking in, if they have agents in there sabotaging. I'm thinking it's more likely that way. But it also shows a picture here as Lafitte's explaining this. We see a description where Marijois and the Navy HQ, and we see ships coming up, and it shows that then he's talking about them not being able to get there. It shows little X's on it, like they're being halted somehow, as he said. So I don't know if they got ships out there. So let's see, where was I here? So somehow the Marines are being thwarted to get supplies to the Marijois. And this looks like something that Blackbeard was hoping for, and he's taking this factoring into his plan. And so Lafitte says that they're like, oh, this is the Celestial Dragons are probably going to really starve at this rate. This seems very unprecedented, and not to mention it's fun to watch. But Blackbeard's like, yeah, well, this ain't the time to sit back and watch. Get ready. And the other guy, and Lafitte's like, oh, okay. And he's like, so something, he's been there for some other reason, just spying. It's like, understood. And now we go to hold on here. So the ship with what's his name? Davon and I'm always forgetting that sniper's name. Van Auger, right? Van Auger and Davon have returned, and we see actually with Pizarro's ability of being in the island. In the island, he can see them coming. Actually, that's I just realized the pros and cons in that. With that, he can see ships coming, but Pizarro's sleeping, eating, whatever. I'm wondering how again, how did Perona sneak in there so easily? Like she appears to be able to fly somehow, right? She like we know there's not many ways to fly here. When early on Oda had like introduced Pell and he was like a Falcon Zone, and he made some statement like there's only 5 fruits that can allow people to fly, but there's like other ways to get across the water, like but anyways, the flying thing was always something like okay, we have other what other ones were there now? I can't remember think, but with Perona, she seems to be she's the only one I can think of off the top of my head where she's literally levitating or flying or floating around. So like I wonder if she has the stamina and her fruit doesn't drain her too much. Could she just float across the ocean to arrive there? Actually, couldn't she do that through where her body doesn't, like her body could still be somewhere else, and she just, because she could like turn into an astral projection type thing, because she just had floated over there, and that wasn't like her real body though, and then it can just zoom back if she's tired, if her still like strains her body somehow. Anyways, yeah, I just don't know how she snuck up there, but we can see that sometimes when Pizarro's in possession of the island, he can keep watch out like it's like better than a crow's nest type thing. You know, you have a crow's nest or you have a lighthouse or something, watchtowers that we watch for invaders and intruders, etc. So they get close there, and Davon has Pizarro pick them up. So they must. What do they dock then? And again, Pizarro's like, "Oh, docking you guys is always a pain. Also, I'm injured right now, don't you know?" And we see Caribou with the other two, and he doesn't know what Pizarro is. So he's like, "Oh my God, it's a monster! Save me, big bro and big sis!" And Damon's like, "Oh, shut your trap!" And I think it's Pizarro who's saying like, "You brought that guy?" And Leonardo's like, "Well, yeah, we sure did." And so now things are really coming together for Blackbeard. We have to stop here for a second, and we're almost to the end of the chapter now. I'm trying to think about what Blackbeard's plan is going to be. Everyone's been talking about whether or not Davon's ability to turn. What is it? Her copying Saturn going to come to an advantage for them now because Saturn is dead, and I'm a little concerned it's going to backfire on them. Only thinking of this right now in the speculation that the fact that Lafitte is there at the town in front of the Navy HQ, the area in front of Marijua. I'm wondering if they are planning to slip up into Marijua somehow. Now, the logistics of that are not what I'm going into right now. What I'm concerned about, what I'm thinking about is with the Revolutionary Army, with Sabo and the other 3 that caused havoc there weeks ago, I have a feeling Blackbeard's plan could backfire, and that with the Marijua city area, the God's Knights are probably assembled there now. I have a feeling they're waiting because they're worried about another attack. They're trying to calm the Celestial Dragons down, so they're going to be deployed already, the way that Dragon talked about. And I feel like the Blackbeard pirates are going to have a run-in with at least one of those people, one of those knights, and I'm really be interesting to see. It's like, so I'm just pointing out, like, I wonder how much Blackbeard knows about Marijua. So he has his plan. I think he's clever. He's letting other factions fight each other, which is really smart. He's done this before. He waited for the Marines and Whitebeard's crew to awaken each other. Then he came in with, after he got the other his rest of his captains. He's recently acquired ones from Impel down. But like, does he know the full extent of what's up there with Marijua? He's probably just expecting the admirals to be there, and there's just 3 of them, and then Akainu might come too. So we got 4 four opponents, and he might want to come there with all his captains, Blackbeard. So there'll be 11 of them, and he might just. He might still leave Pizarro there though. Or would he bring Pizarro? Because he'd want to use his power to control the Red Wall. Imagine Pizarro and control the Red Wall, or at least mount enough of it. Who would he leave behind? I don't know. He might want to take everyone. He might want to leave Kuzan behind at least, I guess. I don't know. He'd have to pick someone to probably stay behind. But anyways, if he takes like 6 of them, say, he's probably expecting to just deal with Green Bull, Fujitoro, Kizaru, and Kainu. But what if the God's Knights are there, as I'm saying? That's the thing too, is if they are going to go there, then the Saturn thing would blow up because they don't know he got killed. They don't understand what's going on there with that stuff. He almost certainly doesn't know about Eam then and what that means. The stuff that Eam, the thing of power with that rungs of power. But at the same time, he could be taking advantage of this to try to perhaps go somewhere else. Maybe he's hoping there'll be a distraction. There'll be enough Marines distracted by these events. Especially if he's reading about what's going on at Egghead, he might be hoping that there's enough Marines that were deployed there that other areas will be weak. As some other people are pointing out, maybe he'll go somewhere else and take advantage of using the Saturn disguise. That Davon will use a disguise and they'll find someplace else. And I had a question about that with I was thinking to myself this week, how many groups of people... Oh, there goes my coffee. Luckily, there wasn't nothing in there. How many different branches of the Marines know about the Gorosei? Some people were, I saw in Tekking's chat, people were talking about how many will they report the death of Saturn. I have a feeling most people don't even really know about the existence of the Gorosei as that oversee the government. They probably just think about Kong, or there might be some other persons who are delegated power from the Gorosei to handle matters among different bureaucracies of the world government. I don't think people even give the time of day to think about a group of people or even a single person who deals with the who rules over the world government. So in my mind, I doubt there's very many specific parts of the Marines or the world government edifices that other than some of these bureaucracies at the highest level that know of the existence of the world, the Gorosei. So Blackbeard must know a good place, unless he's going to go to Marijuana and try to snooze something there. It seems to me that he's going to need to know another place that he can go where the Marines recognize the authority of St. Saturn. I really believe that say for Cypherpole, I suspect only Cypherpole 8, definitely 9, and we know 0 would know about the Gorosei. We see that the vice admirals and some of the other officers know. They mention it in a way that looked like maybe some of the rank and file might know as well. I'd have to go back to that point where Saturn decided to intervene at Egghead. So it's where does he go with this? Actually, what I just had a thought in my head about is, what if because he had this plan, he brought this step of a plan, this first step that is to make himself his country, Fololed Beehive, a legitimate country recognized by the world government. What if he's planning on going up there with Davon, and then he has Saturn go over there, go in, and Saturn say, I decided to make this island, this guy Blackbeard, he's all right. He's going to we're going to legitimize his country, his island as a country. I'm starting to get the feeling he has something like that going on, but at the same time, he'll have some of his other guys come with him, and they'll cause some kind of chaos. Something like that. Otherwise, it's what else can he gain? They're what else is he going to go to gain anything? So he went to Impel Down to gain new members. So what else can he gain other than that? Other than cause havoc? Does he want to Maybe he wants to assassinate other top members. No, there's got to be some kind of gain out of it. That's why I can't think of what else that could be right now. So, anyways, last portion of the chapter. We go back to the Straw Hats, and we see the ones who are on the Great Eric, and the narrator goes, tells us that this is 2 days after they left from Egghead, and they're still not quite at Elbath. And so we see there's chaos going on on the Great Eric. We see Dory, Broggy, Brooke. They're like, wait, what's going on? Like they all passed out, and they're confused about that. And then Brooke's pointing out, wait a minute, the Sunny's gone. Did we all pass out drunk? But so they must have passed out, but they don't understand why. So maybe someone forced them to pass out. Okay, so I'll continue on and I'll go into more of my theories. So we go to the deck of the ship, and we see Jean Bay and Robin and Frankie trying to figure out what's going on. Actually, Bonnie and Lilith are there too, and Bonnie's standing with Jean Bay. Actually, that's kind of cute. And someone's yelling. Is that just Frankie doing all the yelling? We can't. Yeah, he's like, we gotta find them. We can't head to Elbath yet. So we see the Great Eric there, and we see the Sunny's not next to it. And Robin's there digging, and she does her typical, more dark conclusions that are kind of humorous for us. And she's like, oh, maybe they were swallowed by a fish. And Frankie's like, please don't do that now. I don't want to think about it. The fish are so massive here, it might be true. So it looks like we don't see, so from the looks of this, we don't know if, we don't see Zoro, Sanji, Luffy, Nami, or Usopp. And the last panel of shows this present scene is Frankie yelling, Luffy, where are you? We just see the ship there, and we see a big fish passing by that's almost as big as a Great Eric, it looks like. And we switch now to this dark scene. We get to a little panel first that's like, and someone yells, Nami, wake up. So we see her waking up. She's like, ugh, I got a hangover. Ugh. And I didn't realize she was in this. Did she change his outfit earlier? She's got a different outfit on. I was wondering if this is. Hold on, let me go back to something. There's something there about that that's bugging me. Was that earlier? Let me look at her earlier. No, she wasn't wearing that earlier. So she's wearing a new outfit, and Oda went for the cleavage. She's got like a small kind of cape on. It reminds me of the thing that Kaido and Doflamingo wore. And she starts looking around like, where am I? And the last panel is just her sitting in a weird, narrow, vaulted room that looks very pristine and kind of very regal, I want to say. There's like a nice chandelier above her. There's beautiful looking little lantern things, light for light. There's a little flower thing next to her, like a decorative thing that looks like fake flowers. And she's just like, wait, where am I? So this is like clearly not on the Great Eric. And so I don't know if that means they were all whisked away with the the Sunny was whisked away. We know Brooke just said the Sunny's gone. So the end of chapter, by the way. My first thought, anyways, is what if this has something to do with that guy that the Blackbeard speculated had the last poneglyph? The man, what do they call him? The man marked by flames? Did they call him that too? Hold on, let me find that out. Okay, in the official translation here, Blackbeard called him a man with a burn scar. And then it was Lafitte there that was pointing out about the stuff with the ship, an all black ship, and he can use vortexes to swallow up pursuers. I don't know. I'm very suspicious here of what's going on. First thing I was thinking of hallucinations, because they were talking about that one pirate was warning Sanji to be careful with the what do they call it? The Anesthesia? That one spirit here, Abyssinth. I wonder if I can get a translation of this. Let's see here a second.
Victims have been bled red velvet along the black box.
Anyway, I looked up. I have a fun video here about it's called absinthe, and it appears to be originated from Switzerland, which is not too far from the Scandinavian areas, I think. So that's interesting. But yeah, Oda inserted that little bit about it potentially causing you hallucinations. So I'm wondering if that's something going on there. Where was that portion? Hold on, go back up. Yeah. So there's something here, the green fairy, he called it too. So something's going on here. I can't wait. This is so exciting. Actually, so Nami, first of all, was Nami in that outfit before she passed out too? Did she change into something else? Or is that part of this, some kind of hallucination? So is Oda going to do like dream stuff in there? Also, one other thing, the floor looks weird. The floor looks like she's standing on Lego. At the top of Legos, you know, they have those little mini pegs that they connect together with other pieces. That's what the floor looks like around her. And then there's a barrel next to her. I don't know if that's supposed to. Actually, it looks similar to the large. They had those large tankards, like things with the beer. They were drinking the absinthe in it, but she has that one of those sitting next to her. And actually, one last thing too. There's a picture up there to the right. But the silhouette, it's only a silhouette, and it looks just like more like a picture, outline of like a bird. I don't know if that's relevant. So wow, lot happened here. I really want to know what the hell Blackbeard's up to more than anything now. Is he gonna go to Marijwa? And I feel bad for Pudding because now he's not keeping her in a cell. I wonder if he's keeping her close there. He's just gross. You could tell she's grossed out by him too. But I wonder if he's gonna keep her close there because he's worried about. They probably never figured out how Moria escaped. They were too busy trying to capture Kobe. That worked out so well for Perona and Moria. So somehow she got there. I discussed a little bit ago about that, but they probably never could figure that out. I don't know if they would put up Den Mushi as security around here the way if it was impelled down they would have. I feel like Shiru should have told them to do that. Maybe they were counting on Pizarro's ability to know that it was happening, but he did. But then he was focused on Kobe again, so they never perhaps didn't piece that together. We don't know if they for sure. They don't talk about that. They just point out that he's escaped. And yeah, the thing with Shanks in that was interesting. Of course, it was very interesting to see Bartolomeo, show his loyalty for Luffy. But I feel sad that Yasop went and destroyed their ship. He's cold. He is real cold. Even it almost feels like he was being more cold than Shanks, and it's kind of almost fitting because we've been going on forever how he's like the deadbeat dad because he left Usopp and his mother when Usopp was little, and never came back when she died. Like, did he even know yet that she's dead? But I hope Bartolomeo's okay. But the problem is too, he's a devil fruit user, so he's gonna have to be rescued, just like with Shank, just like with Kid, whose ship sank by the Giants, by Dorian Broggy. They if the others are still alive, his other crew members, they gotta rescue him right away, or he's just gonna drown. Anyways, I'm gonna read more about the absinthe, and maybe I'll probably do a little video about that. And so now we're gonna. The other thing too is like, what will Blackbeard do with the information from Caribou? My first thoughts is they might go kidnap Shirahoshi, just like they wanted to get. They found out about somehow. How did they find out about Pudding? Just like they got Pudding. I think the most logical thing he would want to do is to go get Shirahoshi. I don't think he'll want to go to Wano yet, unless he can sneak. He would probably send Van Augur there because he can teleport, so he can sneak in there and look for the Pluton. But they still have to figure out about lowering the walls. He'd have to figure that out because the Odin's dad said you have to lower the walls to get Pluton out. But he might be able to teleport around and try and make sure that. But that would be like a reconnaissance mission. But once he finds out about Shirahoshi, he could send a couple of these guys, his captains, like he just did with Pudding, to go get her. Yeah, she's back there by now, right? She left Reverie a month ago, or over a month ago. So I'm concerned about that part. So he's really, it's like Blackbeard's really trying to bring this together, and I really love how Odin is showing us little pieces without revealing the whole thing. So wow. Was there anything else with that? Yeah. So the straw hats are missing. Some of the straw hats are missing. So it's almost like someone came in the night and made sure when they were all drinking, or they did something to make sure they were even more passed out, and they slipped away with the Sunny. I wonder if this has anything to do with that silhouetted gentleman we saw in the other chapter. Where was that? Maybe that was who that was. Maybe that wasn't on Elbath yet. That was back... Was that the 23 or 24? No, it must have been the end of 24. Hold on here. I got it here. No, that says I was at Elbath, though. Okay. I don't know. But holy shit. Oda really knows how to get us stoked. And is there a break next week? God, I hope not. Let me see. I forgot this was even coming this week. I thought maybe there was a break. It doesn't say. It doesn't say there'll be a break, so probably not. So anyways, that's it for today. I'm going to put this up now and see. I think Tekken got his out, and I can't wait to see what he has to say about this stuff. And it's the other folks. I got to look up, what's my friend, Star Knight. They're not friend, well, not friend, but there's other people I should be watching to follow up on. Anyways, thanks for watching.